She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We're really, really blessed that you decided to join us today. Today, I am going to have the opportunity to bring to you two people who are so going to inspire you. Imagine being a single mom who has suffered through a terribly abusive marriage, having a tremendous amount of pressure because of 6 figures of debt that you're carrying, not being able to provide food for yourself or your kids, so much so that others are having to assist you. And it really looking like there is no hope. Not only that, but years have taught you that this is the way life is and that things don't seem to ever come in the right form, in the right direction, especially not for very long. Here on the Dani Johnson Show, we present to you ideas and stories that show you how you can define and design your successful life. Here's the reality. Our society is telling us what success looks like. They have already have a predisposed idea of what it is, and it all is around you spending money on cars, houses, clothes, stuff, so that you can look successful. In the background, there's a lot of debt, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of fights, a lot of health issues, and the list goes on. So here on this show, we're about, hey, you need to define success for you. What do you want your life to look like? There's a calling, there's a purpose for your life, and there's a destiny that's calling out to you. Can you hear the voice? Are you answering that call? Dianne McGuigan has answered that call. I'm so excited for you to get a chance, first of all, to see her face, to hear her voice, and for you to have the opportunity to be inspired because she has overcome the greatest of odds and has experienced a level of success that just very few people ever do in their entire lifetime. Dianne McGuigan, we're so excited to have you with us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Yes, so many people have seen your video on our website and as we've posted on Facebook, and it's on YouTube, and they've actually seen even your children with a microphone in their hands speaking about this testimony and also the testimonies that they have, because you've been a mom to not only become successful yourself, but you've kind of led your children in that same way. Now, today you have an amazing story, and what I want to go is backwards to the marriage and the things and the trials that you had to endure in that marriage and what brought you to that place to finally fleeing into a place of safety.
Okay. Well, back in, even the late 1999, I was really struggling in my marriage and just going through a lot of things and just carrying on, actually trying to make it work, just trying to do the best that I could. But eventually, I just couldn't do it anymore. So in 2001, I ended up separating, and it was difficult because of the situation. But it was something that I knew in my heart that I had to do for my kids, because my kids were even, giving me signs that I needed to do that. A lot of times, I think a lot of people stay in marriages because they think that it's going to be the best thing for the kids, but maybe that's not quite the case. And so that's the way I feel.
Yeah. Dianne, what was going on in the marriage that caused you to separate?
Well, there was alcoholism. So that just carries on into verbal abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. It just... It's a huge thing, and the overflow obviously impacts the kids because they don't know how to be. They're like bouncing off the walls because they just don't even know how to act. Yeah.
So Dianne, when you say that it was verbal abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, what exactly? Give me an example of what that actually looked like.
Well, when you have somebody that when they come home and they're yelling at you from the minute they walk in the door, and the kids, like just not even paying attention to the kids. They were like screaming for attention, and you can't blame them. So obviously they were a little hyper because they wanted that attention and they just couldn't get it. And it's just the way it was. It was just a very tormented life because you just can't do anything right. You just feel like you have the absolute life sucked out of you every minute, and you feel like you're living with a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde because you don't know how to be. Like, you don't know if it's going to be a smile coming in the door or angry coming in the door. So it's just really difficult. It's really actually even hard to explain.
Yeah, it really is. I've lived through that kind of a life. My childhood was filled with drugs and physical abuse, verbal, emotional, and it's incredibly tormenting, and you feel so trapped. And so you took a leap of faith, you stepped out, and you got your family into a safe place. But now you're a single mom, and you're struggling financially, and you struggled for a number of years, really up until this most recent years, where you just tried so many different things and trying to solve the financial problems, but still just, how did it feel to not be able to put food on the table for your kids yourself?
It is a really scary thing because it might all look good from the outside because I actually live in a really nice house because I bought it, we bought it from the estate of my grandmother. So it was a family house and it's a nice home. So from the outside looking in, nobody would even have an idea, that I struggled the way that I did. And you just feel so lost and alone, and you just want to be able to tell somebody, but it's a very humbling experience. So you end up, maybe like I did, keeping a lot of things to yourself until physically it went on for many years. So I was being helped by many people throughout the years. Like, God just totally uses people to provide for you when you really need it. And but the one thing that really sticks out in my mind is I went to a Bible study, and the ladies at the Bible study, they just looked at me and said, "What is wrong with you?" Because it just had hit bottom, and I just emotionally couldn't deal with it anymore. Like, so many things went wrong. My stove broke, and my microwave, and my van needed repairs. My roof was leaking. It was like, how much more can I deal with? And I actually just lost it and just totally, told them what was going on. And then they were awesome because they came out to my house and they prayed through my house and prayed around my property. And they ended up getting me a stove, getting me a microwave. The one lady's husband ended up fixing my van. And then the pastor at the church found a contractor to come and look at my roof.
Wow.
And that was a miracle because he found that it was really damaged by hail. So I actually got my roof covered by insurance. Yeah. So that's a miracle. Like, that's God.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Why does it take us to just, why do we not tell people? Or let me just ask you, why did you not tell people before all of that mess that you were really struggling?
I don't know. I honestly don't know, what makes us hold things inside. It's just something that I did. But I would share with certain people. I would share if I was going through a troubled time or whatever. But that particular time just really stays in my head because it just everything was just coming down on me. It was like so much pressure, and and they even gave me grocery cards so that I could buy food. Like, they totally blessed me. So the church, the body, the people there, they're the ones, that came and helped me, but God used that.
Yes,
right?
yes. You're so blessed that you were part of that church, because unfortunately that's not the testimony of most churches. But I love that it's a testimony of your pastor and the women that rallied around you and the men that came and made, fix the roof or the van or whatever. I mean, that's what a blessed place that God put you, and that he brought those people to bring food and supplies and help exactly when you needed it. But that was a place for you to surrender.
Yes.
To fully surrender and to just kind of fall into his arms and say, I need help. I can't do this on my own. And I think so oftentimes that he allows us to go through these things and allows even some of the consequences of our choices in the past, whether it was bad financial choices that we've made or trying to keep up with the Joneses in the case that you have your grandmother's house, but still it's more house than what you needed. It was a purchase maybe that would not have been wise or whatever. I don't know exactly what all the circumstances are, but we end up broke because of our past bad financial choices, not because of,
Right.
One bad thing that happened. I mean, it's a habit. Spending is a habit, and it's a habit that leads us into really bad places. And so, but there we are in our consequences and in our stuff. And I think he allows us to get there so that we will surrender.
Yes.
That we will
Yes.
just have to be in a place where we have to trust him. So you came out to a First Steps to Success. You had no money. This is the time where you're struggling with all those things, right? Your house is falling apart. You don't have food on the table,
Yeah.
and you hear about this event that's taking place in the Upper East Coast, and you come.
Yes.
You find the money. What led you to that event?
Well, I actually heard an audible voice, and I heard that voice say that I needed to get to that event because he had something there for me. So I actually went to my son because my van would never make it to that event. So I went to my son and I asked him if he would drive me because he had a nice truck. And I actually figured he would say yes right away, but he said no, which totally surprised me. And so then I prayed and I just said, okay, Lord, if you want me to go to that event, then you have to change his heart to take me.
Yes.
And the very next morning, Shane came to me and said, Mom, I changed my mind. I'm going to take you to that event.
Little did he know, he didn't change his mind.
Yes.
God changed his mind, man. I love that. You know what? I love that. That's one of my strategies for life is that, for example, if I feel God's leading me to do something, it's like, well, then you're going to have to change Hans's heart. You're going to have to change my kid's heart. You're going to have to work out all the details because I'm not going to manipulate, control, pressure, push, or sell anybody. So you got to work these deals out. And he does. That's what I love. He loves to show off and be God. He loves to move the heavens and the earth and the mountains that are stopping us from getting to what he's called us to. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Dianne's story isn't over. Find out how her life was transformed next on The Dani Johnson Show.
And I'm so blessed that I found what is in Grooming the Next Generation for Success. This is a book that is being taught in universities around the world. It's been noted as the best book on parenting that has ever been written. Crazy, if you ask me. But the point is that this thing gets results. Get your copy today, 888-757-8880. Again, that's 888-757-8880. Or go to DaniJohnson.com. That's DANI Johnson.com. Get your copy today.
It's time for a checkup from the neck up. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
So there you are. You have an obstacle that's right in front of you. I know that that's happening. In fact, it might be even already today. By the time you're watching the show, you're probably like, oh my gosh, I've been barely out of bed for an hour and I've already hit the first mountain that's in front of me. That's exactly where Dianne found herself. The microwave blew up, the stove stopped working, there was a leak in the roof, she had no food in her pantry to provide for her and her family. She's a single mom, she's flat broke, right? Her van is broken. I mean, everything is a disaster. And yet she hears a voice after she surrendered. She heard a voice that told her to get to First Steps to Success. And I believe that event, was that event, Dianne, in Pittsburgh?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And Dianne lives in Canada, and so, in fact, Ontario area in Canada, and needed a ride to get there. Her van certainly wasn't going to make it. She asked her son. Her son says no, and she begins to just go to his boss, which was God, and asked God to change his heart, and he absolutely did. So there you are. You and your son are driving to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. What happened after you attended First Steps to Success, Dianne?
Well, I just feel that that event was pivotal in breaking a curse of poverty that was over my life. Like, my mom has always had that fear and that poverty thing on her, and I just feel that it came over like a generational thing. And I just feel at that event, that's what came off of me.
Wow.
And I came home from that event, and I just started to go online, and I was looking. I just knew that I needed a change. I knew that God had planted me in the marketplace. I had confirmation after confirmation after confirmation about that. So I ended up going online, and through what I believe to be an absolute miracle, I ended up finding a brand new business. So I was, and it wasn't easy, trust me, when you have no food in the fridge and you're in overdraft at the bank and you have numerous credit cards, maxed out. You can't even make the minimum payment. So it is a difficult decision to step into a brand new business.
Yeah.
But that's why I think that the spirit of poverty was broke off me, because I didn't look at it as going further into debt. I actually looked at it now as, okay, I'm a businesswoman. I'm going to start a new business. It's an ethical business. It's a good business. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be able to get this investment paid off. And then I'm going to be able to start paying off the debt that I had incurred in my life.
And the investment that you made into that business, how much did it require?
It was huge. It was $11,000.
Yep. $11,000 to be able to start that new business. You needed all that capital up front. And yet, because of First Steps to Success, that really God was the one that broke that spirit of poverty off of you. Now you could see as an investor instead of a spender. And although you had all that credit card debt and all that other stuff, it's like you saw and you learned through War on Debt the difference between wise investing and foolish spending. And so you jumped right into that. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this generational thing, because you brought it up, and I think it's important for people to understand. See, the Bible does talk about generational curses, and I believe in that. But what I will say is what really gets passed on is a generational mindset, a generational form of habits, a generational form of attitude and speaking and talking about money. I can't afford it. Why is this so expensive? And making foolish choices financially and living by choice, paycheck to paycheck. And a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, say, no, it's not my choice. No, it is, because you're the one that controls what you buy every day. You control. I watch this. It completely blows my mind. It's the same people who are always crying broke are the same exact people who are in their truck or their car every day going to the grocery store or the gas station or the liquor store to buy cigarettes or alcohol, buying food that they do not need to buy. They've got food in their house and in their fridge, but they're eating out, and they don't think they're eating out because they're getting a hot dog at the gas station. They don't think they're eating out because they're driving through a fast food restaurant. But look at all the gas and the money spent on gas, the money spent on time completely wasted running to the grocery store. There's some people that do this every single day. And there's some people that do this several times a day. They go out, they drive to go get something for breakfast, and they come home, they get ready for work, and then they drive to work. And then when they're at work, they drive to a place to go to lunch. Then they drive back to work. And then on the way home, they need a snack. And then so they drive the place to get a snack. And then they get home. They look in their fridge that's packed with food. They look in their pantry that's packed with food, and they say, there's nothing to eat. Come on, kids, get in the car. We're going to eat. So that's more gas, more money, more time, and those are always the same people crying broke. Oh, it frustrates the snot out of me. Big time. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Don't go away. The next segment might just change your life. It's the Dani Johnson Show.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your freedom, your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
So you might be one of those people. You say you want to be successful, but daily you make choices that are keeping you in poverty. That's exactly where Dianne found herself before attending First Steps to Success, where she felt like the spirit of poverty was broken off of her, because poverty is a mindset and it always spends more than it makes, or it spends all that it makes. That mindset that was passed on by maybe our parents, that poverty mindset that says, I hate my job, there's never enough money, we never can afford it, we can't have that because we don't have the money. Always in a we can't place, versus a place of looking at money as seed, something that's supposed to be invested and reproduce itself. Dianne learned some important tips financially, one of which was investing into a business. And she gained those concepts and ran with those concepts and found a business, even though she was flat broke, even though she had no money. She found $11,000 to start a brand new business. It was capital that was necessary for her to be in a business successfully. She finds the money. And Dianne, what happened your first 30 days after that First Steps to Success you attended?
Well, it was really exciting because I started that business and I put into action what I had learned at First Steps with the system that we had in place. And I ended up generating over $29,000 in my first 30 days.
Which is unbelievable. You know what I mean? That's a total miracle. Yeah. That is not normal by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. Usually when you start in business, you're not going to see a return on investment that fast. What happened the next month and the next month? I mean, what happened, let's say, in the first 6 months that you had started your business?
It just continued to grow. And at the end of the 6 months, I had generated $100,000.
And I will never forget that. I will never forget. First of all, I remember what seminar you attended, and I remember the stories, the flood of stories that were there, and you were there as a woman who did not have a success story. But I remember going through that room and pointing out, I don't know, there was more than a dozen. It's a video actually on YouTube right now, and it's called Bootlegged, footage from First Steps to Success, and it had random people just standing up, and there's testimony after testimony after testimony of people going from flat broke to 6 figures, some of them to 7 figures, paying off crazy amounts of debt. And you were in that room. You were at that particular First Steps to Success right there in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, witnessing all of those testimonies. Something inspired you and said, I'm going to be one of those people. And so in 6 months, right, and you kept coming back. You hit every single seminar since that Pittsburgh event and made $100,000 in 6 months. What happened in that next 6 months after that?
I ended up generating in that year, from July 2011 to July 2012, I generated $249,000.
I will never forget, because we all got to watch this story unfold, because every month she's at First Steps and she's updating us. She's like, I can't believe this is happening. Seeing that gorgeous light in your eyes and your children's testimony, they've got to witness this crazy miracle. And then, things were going awesome for you. And then you got really, really sick.
Yes.
What happened there?
Yeah, in February of last year, 2014, I suddenly, because I'm healthy, so it was very sudden, totally not expected. I ended up with a terrible infection from a kidney stone, and I went septic, and it happened really fast. If my daughter would not have found me, the doctor said I would have died within 4 hours.
Wow.
So they ended up flying me, airlifting me by helicopter to a city hospital about an hour away. And when my kids got there, the doctors said, your mom is the sickest person in the entire hospital, and we only give her about 10%, but we're going to try and save her.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here you had a 10% chance of living. And I remember all of us clients and family and friends rallying around you and praying.
Yeah.
What was that like? You had some people that you met at First Steps to Success that were now, some of them, your competitors in your business, absolute competitors in business. But because of that environment, the kind of community that has all come together at those events, our business competition is like, no, we're not competitors. We're brothers and sisters. And so you had some very special people fly from the United States
Yes.
to Canada to be at your bedside.
Yes. Stacy and Jackie O'Quinn and Stuart Lynn and Dianne McGuigan and her daughter, they drove 11 hours. So they came, and Elena came to be at my bedside, and I was in a coma, but I know that I could hear their voices. I know it because there were things that I knew when I came out of the coma that I could only have known because I was hearing their voices.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
they were
and
there supporting
they were
your
there.
kids, supporting you, praying over you, and obviously you're alive and well and gorgeous right here on the show. So you're alive and healthy, and
I'm a miracle.
Yes.
I'm a healing miracle.
Yes.
They were going to cut all my fingers, like amputate my fingers, my toes, and I lost all my fingernails, but I have it all. It's an absolute miracle.
All your fingernails are back. Your body is
Yeah.
healthy. And even though you were out of commission for 7 months and could not attend to your business dealings, you still managed to make money.
A significant amount of money. And that's because a group of people came together to help me that would not gain anything monetarily. They just stepped in and they helped my team, and like, it's just unbelievable.
This is
like,
this is
it's
how
so
the world
awesome.
is supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Yes,
This is
yes.
it. So here your competitor stepped in and helped to run your business while you're not well, and helped to guide your people. And I know that they guided them to first steps to success and got them trained there so that they could be running that business even though you were not active and you were healing and getting your strength back. Because after a sickness like that of literally touching death, to now being on your feet again and still manage to make a significant income that provided for all your needs. Dianne, you're such a blessing. I love the miraculous touch from heaven that is on your life. And I love the example you are to single mothers and single parents in general, single fathers. I love the example you are to your children and other people's children. I love the example that the O'Quinns, these are twin brothers that have been clients of ours for 10 years now, and other business associates that were competitors of the same industry, who just laid down their lives to come and serve a single mom and to help her out and help her business out. And that's crazy. I mean, we live in a world where we just hear people stealing from each other instead of helping one another. But there really is a God in heaven. There really is a people who follow him. And there really is justice out there. And there really is people who come to rescue and help and to bring healing and comfort and all of those things. And there really is live testimonies, just like what you heard from Dianne McGuigan. So I know that her story has completely inspired you. Dianne, thanks so much for joining us today. As we move on to the next story, get ready for your world to be rocked, because this is another transformational story that will truly bless you. Imagine yourself struggling in business and coming to a place where you got $5,000 left in your business checking account and you finally realize, whoops, something is wrong. I'm not going to be able to keep my employees or even pay myself, let alone make any profits if this continues. Something needs to change. That's exactly where Jeff Conyers found himself. Jeff, welcome to the show. We're so excited to hear your story. So tell us a little bit about where you were when you first came across DaniJohnson.com.
Well, prior to getting into the Dani Johnson program, struggling business owner, my relationships were a mess. I had gone through 2 divorces. Finally made it to an event, found out I was negative $5,000 in my business checking account. And I was trying to stay the extra day, and that didn't happen. So I had to go back and pretty much pay attention, write down some notes, and from that day forward, I was like, I need to really get this down, because what I've been doing the first 2 years of my business was not working, because it was money, a lot of money coming in from what I discovered, but a lot of it was going out and it was just leaking out.
Yeah.
And it was a very, very tough situation.
Yeah. And so when you're in that spot where, negative $5,000 in your business checking account, gosh, what did that feel like when you found that out?
Well, I went up to the ATM, and like I said, I was going there to actually take some cash out to stay for the Monday segment.
Yeah.
And when I got that receipt, I was like, wait a minute, why is it denied? Like, that's where most of my money's at. So what's going on? And it was like getting punched in the stomach. So when I went back, it was funny because I didn't have to fire anybody, but it was amazing how it worked itself out. All the situations that was going on, God had a plan and he just cleaned house. And I was like, I didn't even have to touch anything. Like, even somebody went to jail in the process. And I was like, I didn't even have to call the cops. So, this is cool. So I just stood back and I was like, well, he's in control.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is really, really crazy. And so today, I mean, your life looks very, very different than when you came out to your very first step success. It's been so fun watching your story be written. It really is. I love it when I get to see, and I remember your first steps. I remember seeing you for the first time. I remember you coming forward on a Saturday night to invite into your life a new spiritual element to your life, and seeing all that has happened since then is exciting. We're going to talk more about that in just 1 minute.
Coming up next, Jeff's financial picture got better over time, but there was one decision he made that made his business explode. Find out what that decision was on The Dani Johnson Show.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
In your face and in your corner. You've never had a coach like this before. This is The Dani Johnson Show.
You've been punched in the gut. You know, here you're a business person and you think, hey, man, I'm doing good. And then bam, man, your statement is telling you that you owe the bank $5,000 at this point. That is scary. What a terrible place to be. And that's exactly where Jeff Conyers found himself. You know, that's a defining moment if I've ever heard of one, where you thought you had something and then you don't. And Jeff found himself at a first steps to success, invited by a friend, comes out and has to go home and make a whole lot of changes. So Jeff, what was one of the first things that you changed, and what is the result of you attending these events? Because you've been coming for several years now, and you've hit multiple, I mean, again and again and again and again, you keep coming. Why do you keep coming back? What has changed in your life?
Well, I started to apply. I made the decision at that event that I was going to actually plug in for the year. I'm the type of guy, it's like, okay, you tell me something's going to work, I'm going to see if it doesn't work. So, and I plugged in, and sure enough, I built the business to over $50,000 in positive cash flow.
Wow.
So I just, like I said, God was at work and got rid of the people that was in the situation and just worked it diligently and was able to open up my skate shop down in Naples, Florida. So it was awesome.
So that's a second skate shop that you have. So you have a skate shop in Chicago, you have a skate shop in Florida. Yeah. And went from negative $5,000 in your bank account to $50,000 in being cash flow positive. How did that feel the first time that number reached in your account?
It was shocking. I was like, okay, this does work.
And so when you heard the challenge where I say from the stage, give me 1 year of your life, and I promise you will not recognize your life a year from now. And so you were the guy that was like skeptical, like, all right, I'm going to see if I can prove her wrong.
Oh, yeah. I was actually the guy before even going to the event. I was actually the one that said, I've already been to the best of the best in the world. Why do I need to hear what she has to say? And when I went, I mean, I was very, very blessed that, you know, she was very persistent on getting me there, because I was like humble pie by day 2. I was like, oh my God, it was just crazy. So, you know, just kind of like looking back, I'm like, okay, well, it wasn't everybody else's fault. It was my fault. I was like, oh Lord. And that's hard to admit. So, you know, when you got to swallow that one, it's like, okay.
It's my fault and I got to fix it.
I got to fix it.
Yeah. So I did it. I got to fix it. It doesn't matter what everybody else did. What matters is what I did or didn't do, and I got to fix whatever I did and didn't do, which is awesome. Okay, so now you've got 2 successful skate shops. plus another business on the side that you're doing online, an internet business also on the side.
Yes.
How much debt have you paid off in how many months?
The number's actually grown. It's over $230,000 in debt now.
Oh my God.
And it just happened in Orlando because I was sitting in there and I was like, I've been blocking my blessings. I kind of came to a revelation of that. And I'm like, I need to do something. So I broke the rule and I picked up my phone in the middle of war on debt and I sent a text. And I sold my house in one day.
Oh!
One day. I was like, oh Lord. And it was amazing because instantaneously promotions within like an hour. It was crazy. My home business exploded after that.
Wow. So you knew that you should have sold your house before and you didn't do it? I
actually fought it for 2 years. I'm like, I'm going to try and make this work my way.
Oh.
It doesn't work like that. My ego was the size of the Sears Tower. It was bad. And I paid the price. Again, I was Moses in the desert. And, with all those people. Terrible.
Okay, so why did you have it hit your gut that you should have sold your house 2 years ago in your first steps?
Because I was like, why am I living in a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-car garage house by myself? That's ego. And it's like, I don't care that, they're wrong and I'm right. The fact of the matter is I don't belong here. God's trying to bless me and I'm trying to fight him in the process. And that's not a good war to try to fight.
No.
Not at all.
Not at all. Like not even a little bit.
No.
You have been a faithful viewer and listener of the Dani Johnson Show since you came here. My gosh, how many years have you been tapping into the show and into the training seminars?
It's been exactly 3 years this September.
Wow.
It's actually longer than that because I originally, when I had a nervous breakdown in October, before I finally was like, all right, I need to go. It's been since October of 2012.
Wow.
I watched the first steps, spiritual equipping outside of my car 2 days after I had a major blowout with my mom. Wow. And after watching that, I was actually able to go inside and apologize in tears and try to make things right. So it was a mess.
Wow. So you get introduced to our show, which is the Spiritual Equipping broadcast, and this one was filmed live at First Steps to Success, and that was your first introduction. You've been watching faithfully and listening, whether you listen on your app or, what's your favorite way to catch the show?
My favorite way is usually through the app.
Yeah.
That's the easiest, most convenient because it's, I'm always all over the place. So if I've got Wi-Fi or if I've got signal, I can pop it on through my cell phone. Why
have you listened so faithfully? I mean, you're a daily listener to this program. Why have you been so faithful to this program?
Because it works.
How? What works?
It keeps me on track. Everything that you teach, just in general. I mean, not having to, get in fights with people that I disagree with, which is awesome. It's like that anger, it'll rage in me whenever something happens that doesn't agree, and it's like, now I'm trying to take the step back and have a little bit of patience.
Yes.
And then it's like it takes a lot longer for me to boil over.
Yes.
And it's like, what would Jesus do?
Yes.
And just have that patience, because that goes a long ways. And every time I've stepped back within this last just 6 months and I said, okay, God, it's on your time.
Yes.
And I'm not going to force it. I'm not going to stress it. I'm not going to freak out. And then all of a sudden I'll get a phone call, or it'll completely work itself out miraculously. And I'm like, okay, I just have to keep trusting and keep my ego out of it, because it's a mess.
What would be so much fun is to turn back the clock 3 years ago, the very first time you called in on the show to ask a question, or even the first time you called in on a Wednesday spiritual equipping broadcast for prayer, and to hear your voice then. And to hear your voice now, because you've called in on the show many times. You've had many financial questions, business questions, relationship questions, prayer requests that I've prayed with you live on the air, and to look back at those times and who you were then, and then 3 years of listening to the show and being faithful to the program, faithful to your God, and growing in Him, growing in your faith. I'm blown away. I just wish we could grab an audio clip that we knew exactly where the audio clip was of Jeff Conyers 3 years ago and then Jeff Conyers today with $230,000 worth of debt gone. Gone. A massive increase of your income, prospering in your businesses, prospering in relationships, leading people. I saw you in Cleveland, Ohio, with a group of guys that just rallied around you. These guys work with you, and they're just like, Jeff. I mean, they love you. And tears filled my eyes because I remember the broken man that I met 3 years ago. I will never forget the first place I saw you, the first place I met you, the first time I heard you on the show. I'll never forget that. And
Same here.
God highlights different people in the seminars and on the show. And I'm like, I know when a big story is about to come out. And you are one of those. You're such an example. I'm so proud of you. I am just bless you. I bless you. I bless you. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more. Jeff, thanks for being here with us. We'll continue with more of the show right after this.
Helping you become all you were meant to be. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.
It's time to take on a whole new mindset. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Man, there you have it, right? Gosh, I'm really just so blessed. There's times where you do what we do and, our whole team, you just sometimes wonder, are we making a difference? Is this show really impacting people's lives? You can come to a place where you ask, and it's good to evaluate those things too. It's really good to look at numbers and really understand whether or not the show's making an impact. But when you hear stories like Dianne, who also is a faithful listener and watcher of the show and has been since its inception, and then Jeff, since he came in 3 years ago, we've been producing this Dani Johnson Show for, I think it's 5 years now. Yeah, it's 5 years. Actually, 5 years ago this month is when the show actually started in a little station in Florida that then went to the Caribbean, and then it's expanded and all the different places expanded to. But when you hear stories like Jeff Conyers and you know that he's there every single day and that it changed his life the way that it has, that gives us fuel, obviously, to keep going. So I hope you stay tuned and you use this program the way he has, and many thousands of others have been using it from all over the globe. And we've got people watching the show daily in Rome, Italy, in Latvia, in Russia, all over the world, all over the Caribbean and in South America, Central America, all through Canada, Australia, here in the United States, all over Europe. Blows my mind that because of technology today, that we can be brought together to be inspired, to be challenged, and to also look in the mirror at our lives and go, hey, there's time to get some things in order. There's something that Jeff and as well as Dianne that they did not tell you about, but I got to tell you, there's a project that we've been working on. They have been a part of it, so faithfully a part of it. Dianne is a single mom and Jeff actually is a single guy running a skateboard business. Here, they have joined forces with us and they have committed 10% of their earnings of their business to go straight to taking care of the poor. They've actually even been on the ground with us, loving on the orphan and the widow and the sick. They have made sacrifices in their life to live out their life to a much greater purpose and a greater cause, other than just making money for this sick reason of buying more junk that we all have to manage and maintain. And so I invite you to join us. Here, these guys started off in poverty, now are building wealth and have become, like you heard, like all this debt that's been paid off, hundreds and hundreds of thousands for the two of them, and using their life to impact people. Go to kingsransom.org and check out the project that we're working on. I'd love for you to join us on that. You really should. You want to have more fun. You want to feel better about yourself. You want to add purpose to every dollar that you're making. You want to do something that is significant and eternal. You don't want your life to just be a dash from the day that you died and the day that you were born, the day you were dying with just a little dash in between it, but you want it to have meaning and you want to do something that's powerful. Go to kingsransom.org and check out this project. We're building 1,000 homes for the extreme poor, people who have no food, no water, no shelter, and their children have no food, water, or shelter. They're living out of a dump right now. And I'm not saying a dump of a house, I'm saying literally a dump. The county dump area with all the trash trash diapers, the trash, like the stuff that people throw away. Imagine living in those conditions. Well, there's families that are living there, and you can help them get out of that. Go to kingsransom.org. You'll see right on the front page, 1,000 homes are going to transform a nation. Join us in that. Other than that, I'll talk to you tomorrow. God bless you and have a great day.
If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DaniJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.
Hi, welcome to the Dani Johnson YouTube channel. We're super excited to have you here. And every single week, we're gonna make sure that you get awesome videos for your business, career, making more money, saving money, annihilating your debt, as well as helping you to handle those really tough problems that you have with people at home, as well as at work, and taking those really good relationships you already have and causing them to flourish and grow. All you have to do is click that subscribe button right down here. Click that and you'll be subscribed to an amazing community of people, as well as some great videos that will help to improve your life. Thanks so much for being here. Subscribe now would be good. Just click it. I know you can see it. It's somewhere down here. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.